And we are live. I hope. We'll just wait a second, see if we get some people in here. Okay, well, we'll start. Another thing that's going to be cool is a lot of people will watch the replay as well, and I'll keep promoting it after that too.
Sure.
So,
Okay,
so today is a super special live. I'm interviewing the incredible Damien LeVeck, who's a director and producer, writer. And I got to check him out recently with his movie, The Cleansing Hour, which is a Shudder original, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Super cool to have you here.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's get into it. So what I wanted to ask you was, I guess, do a brief little overview of kind of how you got into the movie industry and how that kind of all started and happened, because I heard something about you being in reality TV briefly.
Yeah. Well, my journey into entertainment is sort of cliched. I mean, I started off as like a kid who wanted to get into movies from a very young age, and then applied to film school, went to film school, and found my footing in post-production and working as an editor. So my first professional job in entertainment was an editor in documentaries. In fact, the first movie I did was with Ethan Hawke, and I was editing documentaries, and then I swore to myself that I would not get into reality TV or unscripted TV, but I did just that. By my first editing job was at TMZ, and then I worked at E! Entertainment after that for a number of years, and then I went freelance. And during that time, I also edited a feature film in 2008 called Take Me Home, and was just basically editing everything I possibly could, while at the same time writing and trying to get find a script that I felt confident enough to direct. And fast forward over many years of editing unscripted television and a couple of feature films, other people's feature films, I ended up making the Cleansing Hour short film with a Kickstarter, and then that did well at festivals and everything, and I used it as a sales tool to turn it into the Cleansing Hour feature film. And off the backs of the Cleansing Hour, I launched a production company called Scuba Line Entertainment, and now I develop, produce, and direct horror films under that banner.
Right. So is that kind of your genre, horror?
Yeah. I mean, horror, thriller. I gravitate toward a more supernatural horror. Not a huge slasher fan. That's not to say I don't love gore. I just don't care for like the slasher genre as much. I love the classic genre slasher movies, like Nightmare on Elm Street or Halloween. But I don't care for the modern ones so much.
Right. I'm exactly the same. And my channel's kind of gravitated towards supernatural horror just because I'm very, very interested. Slashers, if it's got a really good story and character development, I'm cool with it. But if it's just all about killing, different ways to kill people and hack people up, I'm not.
You have to care before you scare. And that's what most people forget about is you can have movies where people are dying, but if you don't care for or have some sort of empathy toward the characters, then you're not going to care if they die. And I actually had this complaint about some of the more recent Halloween movies. I don't know, maybe Halloween's an exception because people are sort of killed indiscriminately in those movies from the beginning, but my preference is to really sort of have a relationship with those characters going in. So you spend the first 30 minutes of your movie kind of getting to know them and everything, and then whenever they die, then you actually feel bad when they die. So care before you scare, everybody.
Exactly. I'm going to just do a little shout out right now. Hey, Nanette, how's it going? Welcome into the chat. Thanks for stopping by. And she has a question for you already, so we'll do that. What was the movie or movies that got you into wanting to be a director?
Well, thanks for the question, Nanette. Like my story of how I got into entertainment, this one is also a bit of a cliche. I grew up watching George Lucas and and Steven Spielberg. So my favorite movies growing up were Star Wars and Indiana Jones, and I didn't know how exactly what a director did. I just knew that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to entertain people with movies, and I'm not like a cinephile snob or anything like that. My goal is actually to make movies that are fun to watch and that people will enjoy. All the big directors from the 80s and 90s are the ones that really got me interested in wanting to direct movies.
Cool. That's very cool. Yeah. What about 70s movies? Did you like that time period too?
I do, but I didn't really start to develop an appreciation for 70s movies until I got older, into my 20s. I'm 40 now. I do love that era. I love sort of like the grittiness and verite feeling of 70s filmmaking. It's felt very raw and felt very authentic in a lot of ways. I mean, Network is one of my favorite movies of all time. So 70s horror. I don't know that I'm as well versed in that. Honestly, I'd have to think about that some more.
Right. Okay. Next question. So I want to talk about The Cleansing Hour, obviously, because that's one of my favorite films. So, but before that, what was I gonna say here? So with The Cleansing Hour, you got into demonology and supernatural and all that kind of thing. Watching that movie, you have a lot of it. It's really accurate, like really bang on. A lot of those kinds of films that are possession films, oftentimes people don't enjoy them that much because they're just not buying it. They're not believing it. Having done a lot of research myself, you're pretty bang on with a lot of the information and stuff that you delved into. How did that come about? Like, did you take classes in that, or is it just something?
No, I've written several supernatural horrors that deal with like demonology and that sort of thing. So I've spent a lot of time researching the supernatural, researching demons, angels, spirits, that sort of thing, and sort of developing a knowledge of how what's real and what's not. Now, I mean, we certainly took some liberties in The Cleansing Hour. Some of it's kind of very silly about how every demon has its own rights that have to be read. I mean, that's not really true, but it makes for a good story. But it basically the gist of it is I'd spent a lot of time writing other stories that dealt with demons, and that just really informed The Cleansing Hour quite a bit whenever I was writing it. Plus, there's a lot of religious themes in the movie as well, with Father Max being being a Catholic. I'm a recovering Catholic myself, and I'm also an amateur theologian. I love theology. I love talking about religion, and I think that that definitely made its way into the story as well.
Right. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. I am same as you. My dad was a deacon for the Catholic Church, so I kind of got into it heavily when I was in grade 8, and I learned all that side of it. And then he was really into possession and stories like that, and it used to freak me out so bad when I was younger. I didn't even want to. I'd be like, la 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 la, I don't want to hear about it. But he kept talking about it, and then it flipped for me, and I kind of got more and more interested in it. So I'm always really intrigued by people that are interested and learn about it, because not everybody does like it. Not everybody likes that kind of a genre. But yeah, I thought it was really great. I mean, what I also loved about that film is that you kind of incorporated the whole live stream or webcast thing into it, and got that really kind of bang on too with some aspects of it, and that made it really fun. So
it was disturbingly prescient, the movie was, because there were things. The movie was written in 2018, and shortly after it came out, shortly after we finished it, there were these stories that went pretty viral about people who were live streaming suicides and mass shootings and horrible things like that. And that was very much what was happening in the cleansing hour. Somebody was live streaming to get famous, something
Right.
horrible.
Yeah.
So I'm not proud of that. It's just a horrible coincidence.
Right. 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 Did you get flack for that when the movie came out?
No,
I
I
mean,
didn't.
when
I
did
didn't
the
get
movie
flack
come
for
out?
it.
Did you bring it out in 2019?
It was released. It was released on Shudder in 2020.
2020. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It
Yeah.
was finished in 2019, but released in 2020.
Okay. Gotcha.
Mhm.
Yeah. Did you get a lot of questions or even flack about the subject?
No, I didn't get much flack. It was one of the most watched movies on Shudder, though. Humble brag. In 2020, it was being the COVID year and everything like that. It was one of the most watched and highest reviewed movies on the platform. So if you have Shudder, I do recommend watching it. And if you don't have Shudder, then you can rent it on iTunes and Apple and Google and all the other places.
Okay. And you were telling me that it's on Blu-ray now too, right?
It's on DVD.
DVD.
It's not on Blu-ray. Yeah.
Okay. So that's cool too. A lot of my
Yeah.
physical media friends, you can buy the DVD.
Yeah. Yep. You can definitely get a DVD.
Hey, Mr. Dan, how's it going? Oh, he hasn't seen it yet, so he's looking forward to it. All my friends are going to be watching it now, so all the numbers will go up
Good.
again
All
on
right.
Shudder like crazy.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Hit me up on Instagram. Let me know what you think.
Yeah. I guess I should say too quickly what the movie is about. So it's about a webcast that has these two fellas, Max and Drew, who are friends, and they run it together. And Max plays this, I guess, fake priest. And they do these fake exorcisms live, and people watch, and they have tons of viewers. But I guess people are under the impression that it could be real, that they're actually doing exorcisms on this channel legit. And then things get kind of crazy when Drew's fiance has to sub in for somebody else that's doing an exorcism, and then they realize that she's actually possessed. So very cool. I thought it was so fun. It was so refreshing and different of a concept. I really enjoyed it. Now, you wrote this with somebody else?
I wrote it with Aaron Horwitz.
Okay. Yeah.
He and I both wrote the short film too.
Okay. So I have not seen the short film yet. How can I watch that?
It's actually a bonus feature on the DVD.
Okay, cool. So I
Yeah.
have to get the DVD.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be looking for that for sure. Very cool. Very cool. Okay. Also, with the actors that you had for the feature film, wow, they were just incredible. I watched a few interviews with them, and they're nothing like those characters at all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're all tremendous actors. I was very blessed to work with very, very talented actors, and not just talented actors, but just genuinely good people.
Yeah.
Alex and Kyle and Ryan are just the best. I would love to work with them all again. I can't say enough good things about them.
Is there going to be a number 2?
There are no immediate plans for that, but if you make enough noise online, I can't promise that wouldn't help.
Okay.
I mean, I know that there are a lot of people who have asked me that they want to see a sequel.
I would love that. I would
Yeah.
love it. I'll shut it up. I'll message Shudder Direct, and whoever
Do
it
it.
takes, I will.
Message Shudder quickly, tell them,
Let them know.
and have everybody else do it too, because that's what it's going to take.
Well, it's still running. You're still running on Shudder, so that can't be a
Yeah.
bad thing. That's
It's going to be on
cool.
Shudder it'll be on Shudder for a while.
Oh, cool. Because
Yeah.
it's a Shudder original, right?
Right.
Right. Okay. But you can stream it elsewhere, and you can
rent it elsewhere. Yeah.
rent it elsewhere. Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. The whole streaming thing is a little bit new to me, because I've spent so much time with physical media that I'm slowly getting into it. So I didn't quite understand how it works. That's why I wasn't sure when the movie actually came out,
Mhm.
because it was still available to watch on Shudder. So,
Mhm.
yeah, that's cool. Hey, Queen, how's it going? Thanks for stopping by. She's saying hi to you too, and the chat.
Hello.
Okay, back to my questions. I got a little off track here. So as far as possession and that kind of thing go, is that something you believe or you're just interested in?
Oh, I totally believe in it. Yeah, I totally believe in it. I think
Yeah.
that's, I mean, like I said, I've done a lot of research about it. I'm a pretty religious person myself. I think it's absolutely possible.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
I believe it too. I haven't had anything happen that I can prove it, but um, some strange things. I don't think it's super, super common. I don't think all these people are possessed and, but I do think it's a thing. How do you feel about the true story of the Exorcist? That guy.
Uh, our Father Malachi Martin, is that
Yeah,
who you're
but
referring to?
and the
Or
person that
you're
was
talking about the story that The Exorcist was based on?
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I think that's probably a real story. I think that's probably a genuine possession story. Sure.
right,
The same thing with the exorcism of Emily Rose. That story as well, I believe, is probably real as well.
right,
There are
yeah,
a lot of authentic possession stories that have gotten a lot of attention in the media that are probably authentic, just based on everything that I've read about them. Um,
right,
so I think it does happen. I think it probably happens more today than it ever has.
right,
There's a lot of people who are engaging in behaviors that invite that kind of thing, like you know, doing a webcast where they pretend to fake exorcisms. But whatever it may be, it's not something to mess around with. I would never encourage someone to play with a Ouija board or to do magic spells and that sort of thing.
yeah.
That's dangerous. That's dangerous. It's very real.
Yeah, I'm totally that way as well. We won't have a Ouija board in the house. Just why tempt fate that way, And I think the thing that's scary about it is you can think of the exorcist and the head spinning around and the possession and all that kind of thing, but just all the negative stuff that could follow you. So a lot of negative energy could, attach to you and mess
Sure.
things up for
Yeah,
you.
you
That
really have to watch out what you expose yourself to. The music that you listen to, the movies that you watch, the entertainment that you consume, the TV, the crowds you hang around, and the parties that you go to, all of that affects you. If you've
right,
ever gotten a song stuck in your head before and you can't get it out, that's proof. That's proof that the media that you consume is going to influence you. It's going to affect your mind.
right.
We
Uh,
don't we don't we don't give enough importance to that.
did you guys have anything strange happen on set when you were filming?
When we were doing the short film, we had some really weird stuff happen. We had just coincidentally, a bunch of cars break down, a bunch of electronics malfunctions. Um, yeah, just bizarre stuff like that. During the filming of the feature, I don't remember. We filmed it in Romania
Oh,
over 19 days, and it was such a whirlwind. There were a lot of challenges in the filming of it, but I don't recall there being anything like the set burning down, like in The Exorcist.
right.
I don't know if you
Yeah.
know anything about the making of that movie, but they had a hell of a time, no pun intended, trying to get that movie off the ground.
Wow. Did you have like someone blessing the place or anything like that when
I
you were filming?
didn't know. I mean, I would pray a lot before filming every day. Just for everybody, the crew and the cast and everything to work well. I
Yeah.
mean, you should do that when you're making any movie, frankly, just because like movies don't want to get made.
Right.
Movies don't want to get made. Most people don't understand that until you've made a feature film yourself. But like everything that goes into making a movie is you're trying to force a square peg in a round hole. It's
Yeah.
very difficult. So it
Yeah.
takes an extra
I
time to get
commend
any
you
movie
because
made.
you did an amazing job with this film and yeah, to get it because this is you haven't you've done not that many feature films. This was your first
Cleansing
feature
Hour was
film?
my first feature film.
Yeah, so that's pretty incredible.
Mhm.
Really
Thanks.
incredible.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I've met a lot of indie filmmakers. There's a lot of people out there that are very much struggling. So you've done really well, but it's warranted though because it's a really good movie, really good.
Thank you.
Hey,
Thank you so
video
much.
tasties. Yeah, absolutely. Anyone who gets to make a movie is aces in my book.
Well, I appreciate that, but also it's man, it takes a lot of intestinal fortitude. I mean, like I've aged 10 years in the last 5 just because of everything that I've gone through making these movies.
Yeah. You do so many parts of it too.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's definitely not for everyone, but I can't imagine doing anything else. I love it.
Yeah, that's very cool. Speaking of which, you said that you have another film that you are pushing through right now that you're going to be working on called A Creature Was Stirring.
A Creature Was Stirring. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's
We just announced it. I was filming it in Kentucky over the summer, and it stars Chrissy Metz, Annalise Basso, Connor Paolo, and Scout Taylor Compton. And it's about a mother who is set during a blizzard at Christmas, and it's about this mom who's keeping her daughter pumped full of drugs, locked in a room to sustain a fever because she thinks that if she gets too hot or too cold, she turns into a monster. So these two kids break into the house looking for shelter, and they quickly discover that the mother and the daughter have this really dysfunctional relationship, and that there is something else lurking in the shadows. So it's someone recently described it to me as the Babadook meets the Thing, and it is a very cool, stylistic, bright colored creature movie that's an homage to the creature films of the 80s and 90s. And it's got 100% practical effects. I'm very proud to say that. We didn't have 100% practical effects in The Cleansing Hour. We had some practical effects, but not all of them. And this is all the tattoo in The Cleansing Hour.
Yeah.
You talking about the arm tattoo?
Yeah, that was CGI.
That was a practical effect. The fire was not.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, the tattoo bubbling up was a practical effect. The fire though was not.
The fire.
Yeah. It's really cool. I mean, it's a creature movie. It's a Christmas movie, and it's ultimately a character-driven drama with horror in it. That's cool. My favorite kind of movie.
Yeah, I love that it's a Christmas movie too. I think that's really neat. That's my favorite time to watch horror movies, actually. Christmas.
Yeah.
Always say to my mom, can we just not do Christmas dinner and let's go to the movies on Christmas Day for a change? And they'd be like, no, we're not doing that. But I love watching them though. That sounds very cool. And
looks like I can share my screen and show you like one of the first look pictures from the movie if you want to see it.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Ask me something else in the meantime while I pull it up though.
Okay.
It's going to take me a second if you want to.
Yeah, it's okay. That's good.
Okay.
Yeah, Queen's saying she doesn't mess with any of that demon stuff.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah, I am so looking forward to seeing this one too. How long do you think it's going to take before you'll get it out, or do you not know?
It'll most likely be released around the holiday season next year.
Okay, that's cool.
But here is a still from the movie. Let's see here. Here you go. Can you see that?
I can't see it.
Oh, I see. Okay. Hold on. I gotta enable something in system preferences. Just a second.
Sure. You take your time. No rush.
All right.
This is exciting.
Okay. How about now? Oh, I have to. Oh shoot! I'm gonna have to close Chrome and reopen it. I'm not gonna do that. Oh well. It's the pictures on the pictures on deadline. You can see it, but I wanted to share with you.
Maybe it's somewhere else that we could watch it, could see it.
Yeah, it's on deadline.com. If you go to deadline.com, it's on there.
Deadline.com. Okay.
Yeah.
I can link that later down below too, just so people
Sure.
can check it out. Also, is it okay your Instagram, people to go check that out too, to follow you?
Sure. No, please do. It's an open account. You can follow me if you want.
Okay, so Damien LeVeck on Instagram. Go follow him, and you can see updates for the movie as it's coming out.
Yeah, I post a bunch of movie stuff on there.
Do you you're probably going to get to a point though where you're working really heavily and you're not on there as much, hey?
Yeah, I mean, I check it every day, but I mean, I'm not always able to respond right away because I'm busy with, like, I'm in post production on A Creature We're Stirring right now, so I'm, it's an aggressive. The movie's going to be done before the end of the year, so
Right.
I've got a very aggressive schedule.
Yeah, lots of crazy stuff. Okay, cool. Well, I'll look forward to seeing that then. We'll check it out after for sure.
Great.
Sounds very cool.
We might be at Toronto. That's the hope. I told you we might premiere it at Toronto.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. Super fun. Hey Cal, how's it going? They all have channels. Everyone's in the horror community channel, nice. So they're very excited. When I said that I was going to be doing this, everybody was very excited. Nice. Not everyone has seen The Cleansing Hour, but they are all going to watch it for sure. They've all been telling me. So. Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. Nanette has another question. I have another question for Damien. When you were making The Cleansing Hour, what did you do to protect yourself and the people in the movie? And you were saying,
I take on-set safety very seriously, no matter what. Like I said, I personally was praying before every shoot day. I know that a lot of my crew was very religious too. We shot in Eastern Europe, so there was a lot of sort of Eastern Orthodox, worldview there. So I know that they were doing certain things too before every day. There was no official like ritual or rite or anything like that we performed before we started filming, but I considered that I considered keeping a happy set part of protecting people. It's like, remember, we're just making a movie here. We're just making a movie. Let's not take it too seriously.
Right. Yeah. It was incredible how the character of Lane was able to flip like into the demonic look and that kind of thing. That was so well done. So scary. She
did a great job. Alex is a tremendous actress. Yes. She really pulled out all the stops and did honestly, I've said this before in other interviews, and I really do mean it, that I think that Alex Angelis gives one of the best possession performances I've ever seen in any movie ever. It's really phenomenal.
It is. Yeah,
I'm really proud to say that she was in my film, because it's honestly, I can count on one hand the number of possession movies that I've seen where the possessed character was as believable and as awesome and empathetic as she was.
As she was, yeah. Was it grueling? Like, was there lots of takes and long hours?
It was a very, very physical role for her. She was strapped in a chair the whole time. In the vomiting scene, we're pumping her mouth full of this black fluid, and she which makes it look like she's vomiting, and we just kept going. It was a very long take. I just kept going on and on and on. Everyone off set was like, when's he gonna cut? And I'm an editor. Like I said, I've been editing for 15 years professionally. I knew what I needed to get. I knew how much I needed to film in order to make the movie. So like, we did long takes of that sort of stuff. Right. And she also had to sit in makeup, for the second half of the movie, when her makeup, we had different stages as the movie progressed. And, right. There was a point where she was in makeup for 2.5, 3 hours a day too. Right. So it was a very physical role for her, but she had such a great attitude about it. Right. So I really was grateful to work with her, and we would totally do it again.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully in this, when you do the second one, can she come back? Maybe she could come back. Yeah, could happen.
She could come back. Why not? Why not? Yeah. I'd love for her to come back.
Yeah. We're putting it out there into the internet universe. Shudder. Hashtag Shudder. um, uh, yeah, really incredible, really, really well done. And where did these ideas come from you? And also, when you finally were able to put it together, is it so incredible seeing it materialize in front of your eyes and going, wow, that's exactly what was in my head? Or did you see it and go, oh, that doesn't look anything like how I thought it was going to look when I wrote that?
Well, so far, having done 2 feature films now, nothing is ever exactly as you imagine it in your head. Whenever you actually film it, just because independent filmmaking is so difficult. But it is still pretty surreal. I mean, standing on set and like you're surrounded by 50 or 60 people who are all there for you to
Right.
make your vision come to life is a pretty cool thing. I mean, like that's something that doesn't have a lot of parallels, I don't think.
Right.
So I do really enjoy that part of it. How did I get the idea? It was both Aaron and I worked in reality TV a lot, and we both also love exorcism movies a lot. So
Right.
we basically just took those 2 ideas and combined them, and we just sort of like, what if, what if this happened, and the goal was basically to make a movie that we want to watch. And that's always my goal. Like when I'm writing, I try and write a movie that I think people would want to watch. And
Right.
there are, I suppose a lot of people do that, but there are a lot of really bad horror movies out there. So
Are there?
I think there are. I think the market is overflowing with really bad horror movies. I have a pretty high
Yeah.
bar for horror films, honestly. I'm not one of those people that just loves everything that I see.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. What was I going to say? Cal's asking a question saying, what were your favorite horror movies growing up?
Favorite horror movies growing up were Critters, Gremlins, The Thing, um, The Exorcist. Let's see, Exorcism of Emily Rose. That was a
Me
little bit
too.
later
See,
on.
thank you for saying that because so many people say to me, I didn't like The Exorcist. I
No, no,
loved
no,
it.
that movie is terrific. I loved. Let's see. Well, I mean, Jurassic Park is kind of a horror film. I mean, that's basically a perfect movie. I loved. What's the movie that was directed by Ed Zwick about the puppet? Oh shoot, let me look it up. I love this movie. I used to rent it all the time. I should be able to remember the name of it, but it's about a kid who has a talking puppet in his closet, like a talking marionette puppet.
Anybody in
It's
the chat?
it's terrifying. Yeah, if someone can think of this before I can look it up, that would be impressive. Um, stand by. I'm about to say what it is. Hold on. Let's see. Oh, um, come on, Edward Zwick. Hold on. Someone else help me out here.
Somebody help. Cal. Come on, Annette.
I'm looking at his IMDb and
I'm
I'm not
not
finding
sure.
it. Well, anyway, it's a great horror film. I also love The Gate. The Gate's classic. Love that one. I've got this. The writer of my next movie gave me as a gift an authentic original one sheet from The Gate, which is really really cool.
Very cool.
Um, yeah,
Those are, yeah, good choices. It's going to drive you crazy.
it is. It is. It's definitely gonna
You'll
drive me
remember it
crazy.
as soon as we go off.
That's right.
I'm not sure because I can think of a few movies kind of like that. So I just can't think offhand which one.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah. But yeah, The Thing. Oh my God, what an incredible film.
Yeah, I mean, I
And The
love John
Exorcist.
Carpenter. I mean,
Yeah.
I love Halloween. Uh, Even though I don't think it's the best movie in the world, there's this movie called Burnt Offerings, which is also great
Yeah,
from
it
the
is. I
80s.
love that one.
That's
Yep.
a, that's a super creepy movie.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I'm just trying to think of the ones that I would always go and rent over and over again. those are definitely in the running.
Dead Silence, is that what it's called?
That's the James Wan movie, isn't it? Dead Silence. Yeah, that's James Wan.
So maybe not that one, Annette.
Poltergeist, of
Good
course,
guess
is another
though.
one that I watched all the time. I watched Poltergeist and all the sequels. Loved them.
You like the second Poltergeist as well?
I liked all of them.
You liked all of them.
I liked
Yeah.
all of them. Yeah.
I loved those back in the day too. They were really cool.
I loved all the Halloweens too. Even Halloween 3.
Are you looking forward to seeing the new one?
I am. I would love to direct a Halloween movie. I think that would be a lot of fun. I would take it in a totally new direction. Um, I think I love the Michael Myers sort of undefeatable character.
Yeah.
I think it would be fun to sort of bring a spiritual aspect into it.
Right. Which could happen in this next film, from what I'm hearing, but we're not sure.
Yeah, definitely less so than The Cleansing Hour. It's not really a movie with a ton of like religious, content in it. But there's definitely thematic elements.
Right. How are you with the Friday the 13th franchise?
I think they're great. I mean, Kyle Gallner was in the reboot of that, and I thought, oh, I'm sorry, I was thinking of Nightmare on Elm Street. Excuse me. No, I do love Friday the 13th. I think those are great. I mean, the classic ones, the originals.
Yep, they're doing another one of that too.
Yeah, that's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, ended their little legal battle and they're doing it. So,
I'm
speaking
still
of,
I'm still trying to find this, and I'm so embarrassed because I said that I watched it so much, but like growing up watching it, I wasn't paying attention to the director. I was just like,
yeah, no, the most difficult question anybody asks on live streams or interviews is, "What's your favorite movie?" And you suddenly go, blank. It's
I
a really
never
hard
had
question.
I never have it. I don't have a favorite movie. I always have to sort of narrow it down by like decade and genre,
Right.
in order for it to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. It's not Ed Zwick. It was Roland Emmerich. That's who it was. And the movie is Roland Emmerich, and it was directed in like 1980 something. It's called Making Contact, 1985.
Oh, Making
That movie
Contact.
is so creepy and good.
Okay, I got to write
Ma-
that one down. I'll be checking that one
Yeah,
out for
Making
sure.
Contact. I want to go back and rewatch it. It's been ages. I probably haven't watched that since I was a kid. It was so good. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
He directed 1985. Roland Emmerich, and I don't even recognize the.
Okay. Got it. I'll be watching that one for sure.
Yeah.
So was there movies when you were younger that, scared you, that freaked you out, that you couldn't watch?
Yeah, Making Contact was pretty scary. Critters was terrifying. Yeah, I watched Tales from the Crypt a lot too. That also scared me.
Yeah. Creepy.
But I don't get scared much anymore. The closest I got to like really being, I don't know, disturbed. Disturbed is really more what it is. Like if I can find a movie that disturbs me, then I'm impressed. I mean, Midsummer was the last one that truly disturbed me, and I couldn't get it out of my head for weeks after I saw it, and I loved it. I mean, that was one of the best horror films of the last 20 years, easily.
Right. Have you seen recently Barbarian?
Yes, I just saw it last week.
Did you like it? I haven't seen it yet.
It was fun. It was fun. I felt like it could have been a lot more fun by pushing boundaries. It didn't do anything that truly shocked or surprised me.
Okay.
I really thought it was an opportunity to do something truly disturbing, and they just didn't go there with it. But it was a fun flick. I never at any point like wasn't having a good time watching it. So that's a huge hat tip to the filmmakers.
Yeah.
Just keep making an entertaining movie. Like that's a huge accomplishment.
Right. I'm looking forward to seeing that one too. I'm gonna
Yeah,
a little
definitely.
bit, but I tend to not like to rush out to the theater and see things the second they drop. I always wait a little bit, and I'm fine with learning things about. I'm not one of those people that is like, no spoilers. You ruined it. I will still go watch it if I want to see it, but I always wait a little bit, just a little
Yeah.
bit.
I like to watch it as soon as it came out. I didn't know anything about Barbarian except for there was an Airbnb in it. That's all I knew.
Right.
I love going into a movie completely fresh. I don't really watch movie trailers much anymore just because they give away too much.
They do, yeah. When you were filming The Cleansing Hour, was that did some nights that you went home, did that get into your psyche and kind of like, because you're seeing it in front of your face?
And when you're making a movie like that in 19 days, you go home and you're planning for the next day, and then you pass out. Well, I mean, in that case, I was in Romania, so I was 8 hours ahead of LA, and went home. I met with my DP and ate food for like 2 to 3 hours, and then I had like 3 or 4 hours of emails and phone calls with LA that I had to do, and I got 6 hours of sleep, and I did that every day for 2 months. There was no time for anything else. You just grind.
Right. Why did you film there?
It was cheaper.
Okay.
Yeah, it was cheaper.
Neat
So, what's that?
Neat experience, though.
Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, it was really cool to be in Bucharest, and our crews were pretty good, and we made a movie. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, I would really go back and do it again. It was easier to film that movie in Romania than it was to film my last one in Kentucky.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, Dan's saying he'll check out that movie, Making Contact, too.
Yeah, do it.
Oh, Nanette saying Making Contact is also called Joey, and it's on Tubi.
Really?
Interesting. Check that out.
Cool. All right. Neat.
Hey, Ryan, how's it going? Okay, Ryan from RWR Movie Reviews is the reason that I watched The Cleansing Hour. Because I said to him, I like, supernatural horror kind of stuff. And so he threw that at me, and I waited for a while, and then I watched it and I was like, oh, I'm totally reviewing this. This is exactly up my alley. Anyway, he was responsible for it.
Well, thank you for recommending it. I appreciate it. Tell more people about it. Ask for a sequel.
Yeah, so we can get number 2. Toughest part of making The Cleansing Hour, if it hasn't been asked already, he said. Awesome film, by the way.
Toughest part about making The Cleansing Hour. I think the toughest part at this point, well, off the top of my head, I would say it was probably the strain that it put on my family. It's an emotional and physical, very, very trying thing, making a movie in an independent film where money is tight, and you're working long hours, and you can't spend a lot of time with your kids. It was very difficult, kids and wife.
Yeah, totally get that. And being away from home for stretches of time too.
Definitely. It was really, really hard. I mean, we had a lot of challenges making that movie. It was extremely difficult, but I think in the long term, the big picture was really just the personal stress.
Right. Yeah, totally could see that. Being an artist,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Did you actually do editing for that film as well?
Yeah, I edited The Cleansing Hour.
Wow, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
A lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, doing all that stuff. I mean, I know you had crew and whatnot to help, and you had great actors and that kind of thing, but still, yeah, your first thing and trying to make it really work. But yeah, it totally paid off. It was so incredible. It showed all that effort and stuff that you put into it, for sure, I think.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Also going to ask you about so with your budget, if there's a bigger budget, does that make for an easier process and a better film? Or no, not
Not
necessarily.
always, not always. That's not really a rule of thumb, but in the lower budget arena, um, sometimes $100,000 can go a really long way to making your life easier.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, having more money would, in my case, have made things better, but that's not always the solve. But I would say for my movies, it definitely would have been.
Right. Yeah, because things can get very expensive, traveling and everything, right? All of the
hmm
parts.
movie, like I said, movies don't want to get made. They
Yeah.
are a wonderful and mysterious and horrible thing all at one time.
Your reviews were pretty good though, from what I could see for the cleansing
Yeah,
hour.
I mean, I mean, that makes it all worth it in the end, doesn't it? I mean, if you make a movie that people enjoy, that's what makes me feel okay about, like, the hardship that you go through getting something made. I mean,
Yeah.
you eat, live, and breathe a movie for 3 years, and you release it, and people like it, and that's a
Right.
really good feeling. It's a really, really
Right.
good feeling. It's the reason,
Yeah.
like I said it earlier on, that's the reason why I'm doing this, is like I want to entertain people. So
Right.
I'm really trying to pick my projects carefully and make sure that I'm making movies that people will genuinely find entertaining.
Yeah. 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 For sure. And we appreciate it because, yeah, like you said, there are a lot of movies out there that are maybe not as good
Yeah.
that we have to watch and put ourselves through. And, I've had many movies lately where I watch 10 minutes, 15, and I shut it off. I just can't do it. It's not happening. I'm going to fall asleep. It's not good. But yours, I've
Yeah.
watched probably 5 times now.
What, really? You watched The Cleansing Hour 5 times?
I have. Yeah. I
Oh, wow,
watched
that's
it like
great.
once and then I reviewed it. So I watched it again. And then the other day, when we were talking about doing this, I was like, I'm going to watch it again. And I watched it again. There's always like parts and things in it that I missed the first time around. So I love watching things a few times if I can
That's great. Good for
enjoy
you.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I think that there's a whole, if you went through the movie, and you paused it on just the chat feeds for the live stream, you would see, have a whole nother experience, because the chat feeds are hilarious. It's a whole nother movie in those chat
Hilarious.
feeds.
I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God. And right now, actually, I'm going to knock wood and say, thank God we don't have any of the porn sites posting right now. We're doing good.
Yeah, exactly.
These are
Yeah.
dumb comments. I know I watch a lot of true crime as well. So, true crime YouTube shows, sometimes they'll now run lives just like on a loop of like 24 hours. And the comments that come through, that's all you watch is the comments, not even
Yeah.
watching the show.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
I'm
Really
glad you
clever.
liked it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think because I've done this before, so I get it. Not that I would ever be grotesque like that with you, like getting my numbers up and that kind of thing, but I get it. I get that. You get obsessed with that kind of stuff, right? Um,
Well, we tried to make it as authentic as possible. When I had a cut of the movie, I brought a bunch of friends from different, like, ethnic backgrounds who spoke different languages over to my
right.
house, and
Yep.
got them all liquored up, and they all had their laptops, and I played for them all the scenes where the live stream footage was going to be shown, and we
Right.
were just in this Google sheet, and we're all typing in names and comments and stuff like that in different languages, and it comes through as very authentic. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is hilarious. The first time I watched, I don't think I paid attention, but then the second time I watched, I was like, oh, wait, there's chat there. And I started looking and going, oh, yeah, okay. I get that. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Really fun. Oh, okay. Ryan's got another question. Wanted to ask. It seems like for Shudder, most movies seem to go through festivals first before getting picked up. Was that the same path for this film?
Not exactly. That is a very common path. Shutter was sort of we were on Shutter's radar from the script stage on the Cleansing Hour. They liked the
Okay,
script a
good.
lot, and they wanted to get in bed with us very quickly. Um, so we ended up having a deal with them before we went to festivals, but we did go to festivals. We did go to Fantastic Fest and Sitges, and a handful of others.
Right. So does that mean this next movie will likely be on Shudder?
It might be. I honestly don't know yet. We have a distributor. That distributor might sell it to Shudder too.
Right.
And I know our distributor wants to take us to festivals as well. So we'll see. I mean, there's a lot of different options now. It being a holiday movie, there's a lot of time between now or like next month when the movie's going to be done and when it'll be released a year from then.
Right. Right. So The Cleansing Hour was never in theaters. It was just on Shudder.
It wasn't in theaters in North America. It was in theaters in other countries around the world.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it was during the pandemic as well, right? So that must have changed things.
Yeah, that affected things a little bit.
Would be a neat experience for you to see your film in theater.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool thing. There were people on Twitter in like Cambodia or Singapore or something like that who were like posting pictures of like their tickets, that say The Cleansing Hour, and it's the different language on the tickets and stuff like that. It's kind of a neat thing to think that something that you made on the other side of the planet is being watched by people so far away.
Yeah. Was there any issues with censoring or any of that?
There were a few things, but like different distributors do that. They handle all that stuff.
Right.
I didn't have to do anything like that.
Nanette is saying, so many movies nowadays are very bad and so predictable. Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah, I mean it's a challenge because the horror audiences especially are really sharp. So I never want to take for granted, story wise, because you don't want to take the audience for granted because like they will catch it, or there's sort of a hive mind when it comes to the horror fans. So to surprise your audience really is a feat these days. So you need to be very thoughtful about the way that you tell your story. This next one, A Creature Was Stirring, the reason why it caught my eye whenever I read it was because there's a twist in the end that I didn't see coming. And like in the script, I was just blown away by it. And it's like when, if you can't see that twist coming, that's a big deal because a lot of times people predict that twist,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's a rare thing nowadays in a movie. I love that because I'm that kind of person that sits there and goes, oh, I see where that's going. Oh, I know that I have to like not talk when I'm watching the movie. And so to have that twist is like, which is why I end up watching. That's why exactly. I like about The Cleansing Hour too, the twist. Not that I'm going to say what it is, but the twist at the end was really cool.
Well, thank you.
And then it made me want to go watch again because I knew I had missed things.
Yeah.
Throughout.
Yeah.
Obviously. Hey, Nick. Sorry he's late. So I'm not sure if this has been asked, but how did Damien specifically attempt to subvert the cliches of the possession, exorcism subgenre with A Cleansing Hour?
Well, I mean, I think some of them you can't avoid, but one specific example that I can think of that was a subversion of a cliche is the idea that like if you just read from the Bible, you can somehow make the demon go away. So we give the character Max, he opens up his Bible and he starts just reading some random verse and it doesn't have any effect. So we're sort of like poking fun at that through through that scene. I think the way that you subvert a cliche is often just to make fun of it. I think that also is like using empowering a demon with certain rules, and with the ability to give certain rules or certain powers is something that you don't often see. A lot of times in exorcism genre, someone just is sort of randomly possessed or they get possessed and like that demon has control over their body, whereas in The Cleansing Hour the demon had control over everybody in the set and like everything on the set. So it had sort of the supernatural ability in a way that he could sort of omnisciently control everything, which was definitely new from what I've seen in terms of like, the possession genre.
Yeah, because Nick was saying possession is probably his least favorite horror subgenre due to the repetition, but Cleansing Hour was a breath of fresh air.
I mean, I agree with that in a lot of ways. I mean, like I said, I can count on one hand probably the movies, the possession movies that I like the most. I mean, that are good, maybe two hands. But if I were to do another possession movie, uh, I don't know. It would take a lot of like really deep thinking to think about where I would go with it.
Right,
I would probably go in I would probably take it into a direction that's also very sort of like contemporary and relevant to today's socio-political climate.
right,
Possession sort of taking on a whole new idea of it's not just a demon possessing you. It's propaganda and the media, and like you're being possessed by all these ideas that are controlling you and you aren't even aware of it.
right,
That's sort of where I would probably end up taking it.
right. I really appreciate again that you do practical effects and that this next film is going to be like you're going to have that because what a difference it makes. It really does.
Yeah,
Not to say that CGI can be done well, and I've seen it done well, but practical effects are so very incredible. Yeah, I can't get enough of them. And I hope,
yeah, I love them too. I think it's really important to keep that alive. I'm trying to do is like I said in this next movie, all of our monsters are 100% practical. There's some CG cleanup stuff, but I mean, like everything you're seeing is actually there, which I think makes a big difference.
right,
When you're watching it as a viewer, it's subtle. It's subtle, but there's always something about whenever you watch something that's really there, that's captured on the camera that a computer just cannot replicate.
yeah, absolutely. Ryan's asking, did you find casting the roles for this film came pretty easy or was it a lengthy process?
It was a very lengthy process. It took almost a year. We
Wow.
we made offers to much bigger names that passed, and waiting for those big names to get back to you takes a long time. You can't make an offer to two different actors at the same time for the same role. So
Gotcha.
it was a very lengthy process.
I didn't know that.
Hmm.
That's interesting. Well, the cast is amazing. So it all worked
Thank
out in the
you.
end.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
great. I love my cast.
Yeah. Very, very cool. Why don't you we have a few more viewers. Why don't you tell everybody again about this new film that you're doing, just what it's about, and that it's going to come out, you think, probably in a year or something like that.
Yeah, it's called A Creature Was Stirring. It stars Chrissy Metz, Annalise Basso, Connor Paolo, and Scout Taylor Compton. Um, it's about a mom that's keeping her daughter locked in her room during a Christmas blizzard, and she's pumped through it full of drugs because mom thinks that if the daughter gets too hot or too cold, she turns into a monster. So these two kids break into the house looking for shelter, and they discover that the mom and the daughter have this very dysfunctional relationship, and that there's something else lurking in the shadows. So it's a psychological horror creature movie,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's very unique. It's very unique. I've never seen anything like it before.
I believe that. I'm sure it will be coming from you.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait till it comes out.
yeah,
And
yeah. You can read
if
more about it. It was announced on Deadline.com, so there's a press release on there. You can see more.
right. And also on your Instagram page, you've got some posts
Hmm.
about it too.
Yep.
Yeah, people can check out. Um, okay, we're at the 1 hour, and I told you we would just do the hour. So I'm going to say any other questions you guys have in the chat. Speak now or forever hold your
And if
peace.
you can't think of anything, you can always just DM me. I'm pretty accessible on social media, as you know,
Okay, cool.
Karen.
Yeah. No, I don't tell people that. I have the magic. I have the magic for everyone always says that. How'd you do that? I was able to get David Howard Thornton on here, Art the Clown.
Uh-huh.
It was a grueling process because it was a
Yeah.
back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Then the last minute, 2 hours before we were not going to bother doing it, he goes, "Oh, I can come on now." So
Nice.
everybody
That's
thought I was
awesome.
crazy. Yeah, just tell people it's really difficult to get a hold of you. That's what I just reach out. I mean, a lot of people will shoot you down and they can't make it or they don't want to, and that's fair enough, but
Yeah,
it doesn't hurt to ask.
definitely. Well, I do appreciate you reaching out.
Yeah, this
Definitely
was
don't
lovely
hesitate to do it
speaking.
again on whenever A Creature Was Stirring comes out.
Absolutely. Yeah, come back on again for sure. Definitely. I'll be reviewing it anyway. And
Yeah,
all of these guys will be watching, I'm sure.
hope so.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Well, I guess that's it for questions. And yeah, you can reach out to him like he said. And I have links down below as well. Go watch The Cleansing Hour if you haven't seen it, because it was so, 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 so good. And you will look out for your new movie too. Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
You're so welcome. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it, Karen. Thank you.
It was a lot of fun. Everyone's saying great interview and thank you and stuff like that too.
Awesome.
Yeah. You'll be all the buzz now. All right. Okay. Thanks, guys, for hanging out. I really appreciate it. I'm going to try to maybe do this kind of thing again, too, with the live interviews, because it was kind of fun. I was a bit nervous because I've never done that before, but I think it went really well. I think it's a good way to go. That way you get to interact with more people, too, not just talking to me kind of thing. So it's fun. You inspired me with your whole webcast thing. The last movie inspired me.
Nice.
Do it live. Okay. Bye, guys. Have a great night.
Thank you, Karen.